Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to be doing a deep dive guide on the Fragment Champion Walking Tomb Dreng, where we'll go over maybe how to build, what masteries to think about, how I feel in terms of how strong the champion is. We'll do some slow motion footage of the abilities so you have a full understanding of what they look like and how they function in game, and get you everything you need to know as you are finishing up the events to acquire a Walking Tomb Dreng and how to use him in game. So let's get into it. Alrighty, now as always for my champion guides down below, you'll be able to find a link to the infographic here, but you know the drill. There's always 3 to 5 different ways you can do the masteries for a champion, so make sure you just use that as a template guideline in general instead of blindly copying the masteries. But I'll give you context as to some of the stuff seen in this infographic as we do the video, but that's down below if you want to pull it up. Okay, so first of all, I don't know when you're watching this video. It could be a year after I publish it, but Walking Tomb Dreng was a fragment summon event featured in game back in July of 2022. So, you know, a champion that a lot of people, if they are diligent and spending resources, are going to be guaranteed to acquire, but will also be available in shards down the road for the people that did not finish him in the fragment event. And then as far as aesthetically, definitely fits the Knight Revenant theme. Looks like an enemy you would come up against in Dark Souls or something. And Plarium is really going hard in the paint with champions having something on their back. This is, you know, seen on champions like they had Gerptuck and War Mother, and we're seeing all sorts of stuff with something on the back here. But definitely creepy and pretty cool. Fits Knight Rev for sure. As far as the base stats on the infographic, I put a B+. They're okay. Nothing to write home about or anything crazy. You know, like a 115 base speed or something. But a champion that scales with HP, you want them to be pretty tough. The HP and defense is all right, and the base resistance of 50 is pretty handy. Doesn't really need accuracy on this champion, so the 0 accuracy isn't that big of a hit. For the abilities, we've got the A1 that attacks twice and instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on the target after attacking, scaling with HP with getting 3 books of damage. I'll show you this in slow motion, what this looks like here in a little bit when you run in with the multi-hitter that then activates some HP burn damage. The A2 can be booked to a 3-turn cooldown. It's going to be an AoE HP burn, which is definitely cool. You're going to need that if you're trying to build some of those HP burn spider strats and you don't have somebody like a Sishia. That can definitely be very handy for you to progress in that dungeon. And what's really cool is this cannot be resisted. This is the only ability that's going to require accuracy, so we don't need a whole lot of accuracy on the champion. We can just build a bunch of resistance, a bunch of HP, and that type of stuff. But then you know, the A3 here gets a little bit interesting. It can be booked to a 4-turn cooldown. What we're going to do is equalize ally HP, and again, I'll show you this in slow motion so you know exactly what it looks like. But you basically are going to heal your most damaged allies up to somebody who's got a good amount of HP. But after doing that equalization, is that a word? Equalization? I don't know. Sure, we'll go with it. But after that equalization of HP, we're going to do an attack that will also ignore 30% of the target's defense if the target's current HP is equal to or lower than this champion's current HP. So if you're in a scenario like the arena or tag team arena, something like that, there's a pretty good chance that will proc. But if you're in a scenario like the clan boss or something, obviously, you know, where they have millions of HP or whatever, that is not going to be proccing. Then we have also got will decrease the cooldown of Exalted Pyre by 1 turn, which is the A2 right here. That is the AoE HP burn. We're going to lower that by 1 turn if the target's current HP is higher than this champion's. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting guaranteed value no matter what. You're either going to be ignoring defense if they've got low HP compared to him, or you're going to be helping cycle through some of these AoE HP burn mechanics if you're in a scenario like the Hydra or the clan boss. Then we also have a passive of reflect 30% of the damage the champion receives back to the attacker if this champion has 50% HP or more, and deals 30% more damage instead if this champion has less than 50% HP. So a pretty cool passive there just to help with being a little bit more consistent in terms of damage that he's able to inflict during battle. And we've got an aura here of ally HP in all battles by 30%. All battle auras are what we like. And HP of 30% is a pretty solid aura, especially given the fact that he scales with HP. So if you don't have one that's better, like a Lysandra or something, bringing a bunch of speed, it can be pretty solid to get the HP aura in there with him as a leader as well. So now let's head on over to the Walking Tomb Dreng that I have got built, and we'll talk about some of the things to consider while you're throwing gear on this guy, doing the masteries and all that type of stuff. Okay, so here we are, and by the way, I am on the test server, so I do not have this guy yet on my main account. I'm going after it and doing all the events and all that stuff for sure, but I'm trying to get this out so that you will have a video available with infographics and all that as soon as you are able to get him in game. So I'm trying to do this as soon as possible, but okay, we have got the build right here. Now, there's a few different ways you could go about this. He's a pretty good candidate for something like the Guardian set, Fortitude, you know, all sorts of those tanky type sets that are going to help you soak up damage for your team. Guardian is pretty cool if you got a good set of that lying around. You can also do things like the Mastery Bulwark, where you make him kind of take the damage for the team and lower that by 5%. But a pretty standard, you're looking for speed, HP, and probably like resistance. You don't need to put a whole lot of accuracy on him. He doesn't need it for his abilities because his AoE HP burn cannot be resisted. So on your banner, I would go with either resistance or HP, and you're just looking for the stats that I mentioned. Besides that, the amulet, you probably want to go with HP as the main stat, and then on the ring, you probably want to go with HP and get as much defense as you can. The boots, I could see going, you know, the HP percent route if you've got boots like this that have speed as a substat, and you can glyph it up and get a decent amount of speed and hit a good speed threshold. Besides that, you can see that I've got him up at 263 speed with HP percent boots. So if you do something like that, nothing wrong with HP percent boots to scale him up a little bit. The chest, you're almost always going to want to go HP percent, and the gloves as well, probably. I did do a video that I'll try to remember to link to over there, where I build him in like full damage, get him to 100% crit, savage set, all that type of stuff, and then I start testing how he hits compared to, you know, people like Sir Nick and stuff. And the too long didn't watch is he's all right. He does all right damage dealing for an HP scaling champion, but I don't think he's meant to be built like a Trunda or something. So I would probably build him in a more hybrid vein. Nothing wrong with building him as a high tanky support type. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of value in going, you know, full crazy cracked DPS build or something. The top ones are pretty simple. You're going for speed, HP, resistance, and defense. Then for the booking process, he is going to take 11 books, I believe. So it was 3 plus 5 is 8 plus 3 is 11. So yeah, 11 books. You know, like if you could save some books on the A1, probably not a bad idea. If you're going to be using him a lot and booking him fully, you want to get the A2 and the A3 for sure, because it's going to cycle him so much better, especially with this lowering the cooldown of the A2. But if you save a book or two by getting lucky on the A1, nothing wrong with that. You're not going to be cranking out Trunda-like damage with this guy or anything. For the Masteries, a few different ways you can go. You can go like War Master if you're using him in the Hydra or something and try to crank up that damage with the double hitter. This is more of kind of your standard tanky build centered around Bulwark, just to help him soak up a little bit of damage and have him fill that role on your team. He does that pretty well. So these Masteries here are decently generally useful, and they're the ones that are featured on the infographic I linked to down below, but you definitely want to customize this based on how you're going to be using him in game. And now let's pull up some of the video footage that I have while I was testing this guy and recording stuff to be able to show you in the video. I like to do this so I can break it down frame by frame and really walk you through how the abilities are going to look and how they function. So first, I'm going to show you the A1 right here. So you can see the A1, attack 1 enemy 2 times, and then we're going to instantly activate any HP burn. So you can see all of these enemies have HP burn on them, and watch what happens. Let me get my pen out, actually. Do I have that readily available here? And it looks like I do. Okay, great. So let's run this. I've got it kind of slowed down here for slow motion. And we're going to attack the champion on the right. And you'll see the 3 turns of HP burn. What we're going to do is we're going to activate one of those. Pop. 1, 2. And now we activate one of those HP burns. And you see all of the other people on the team getting hit by that. So right here, pop, we activate all that, and look at all those damage numbers rising up from the HP burn detonation. And it went from, you can see, where's the frame? It's going to go from 3 to 2. Geez, I got to back way up to get that. Okay, there it's at 3 and 2. Right there. That's the frame. 3 and 2. So there is the HP burn AoE damage activation from the multi-hitter A1. Now, this is going to be the A2. Worth noting, the Exalted Pyre A2. This is what, from my testing, in most situations, this is what his AI is going to prioritize. If you just leave him on auto, the first thing he's going to do is this Exalted Pyre A2, which is the AoE HP burn. Let me clear out that yellow circle. Okay, so right here we play. And this is going to be what the A2 looks like. Super cool. You get the swinging chains from up above. And we're going to do some AoE damage and then place those HP burns that cannot be resisted. Not a bad idea to get Master Hexer. You can see the one on the far left is going to be placing for 3 turns instead of the other ones. Well, this one here is 3 as well. And this one here. And then these ones are going to be 2. And that is because of the Master Hexer mastery that I took. And it makes some of them go up to 3 turns. So that's what the I can play that again here. Boom. That is what the AoE HP burn is going to look like. Now, this one is the interesting one. So this, you got to pay close attention. This is going to be the HP balance. So look at how damaged my Lady Kimmy is and my Ninja and my Lydia. But watch when we do the HP balance. Right there is the frame. You see it? Look at all that healing. That's like a 40,000 heal on Lady Kimmy right there. So we're healing what, like 40, and then looks like about 15, 55, 60, and another huge one there. Probably somewhere around 75, 80k with others sprinkled in. I mean, this heal can get up to 100,000 pretty quickly. If you're in a context like this in the Hydra where you're using a lot of champions, you can get a pretty big heal. Look at the HP's chunking up, and then the text pops up from the HP rebalance. But remember, we also get an attack with that ability, after the HP balance. You can see, boom, there's the HP balance, and he attacked the Hydra there. But I didn't leave the recording long enough to capture some of that. So let me pop on into a level real quick and let me show you this. Okay, so let me start off against the clan boss, and we'll do, I'll show you also when I hit auto. You can't see it on the bottom left, but right now I'm going to hit auto, boom, and there you see he does that AoE attack. Okay, so now this is what I want to show you with this A3 right here. So what we should get is we're attacking something with higher HP. We should get decreased cooldown of Exalted Pyre over here after the attack because the clan boss has a higher HP than our champion. And there you see, there was the decreased cooldown that I got to proc right there. So verifying that is working in a situation like the Hydra or the clan boss. And then if we were in a situation like the arena, we would ignore defense instead of lowering that cooldown, so you wouldn't have got that effect. So now let's talk about my grades for this champion after testing and recording footage and working on this video here. So campaign, I went with C. He's not going to be a guy you're using in the campaign in really much of a context. Clan boss either, not really. Not going to be in any sort of unkillable composition or even a standard team. Doom Tower, he's all right. He can be a decent tank in some scenarios. The arena, again, maybe as like a defense champion or something, for a beginner tag team arena type, second or third squad, but not going to be used very often in the arena. Dungeons, he's fine. He's tanky, he's got an aura, and he can do a bunch of healing. And then Faction Wars, same thing. He can be a tank that heals up, helps you 3-star content, and all of that. I think he could use a little bit of love. I don't think he's one of the better fragment / fusion events that we've done. I would probably, adjust his abilities a little bit, give him just a slight buff. I understand not every fusion or fragment can be some broken Duchess type champion, but I do think he could use a little bit of love just to bring him into line to be a little bit more hyped up. But I think for some of your early and mid game accounts, he'll be a fine progression champion that can be a decent tank for you in some of your starter compositions like tag team arena defense or trying to round out like your second and third Hydra team. So that will do it for this one. Let me know if you agree or disagree and share your opinions as well down below. And remember that the infographic will be down there as well if you would like to pull that up and take a look at my thoughts on just the general breakdown of Walking Tomb Dreng. But alrighty, as always, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.